Francesco, answer.
So welcome everybody.
Okay.
What do you think about Bitcoin? In which terms?
I don't know. I don't know how the value of Bitcoin is correlating with the crisis that we're in at the moment. I mean, at first we saw a huge drop in value, and everybody was talking about it. But then the actual stock market, SP 500, is down 30%. All major stock indices are down. Going to go up now, or will it keep crashing?
So I would say most people like the narrative that Bitcoin is actually uncorrelated with traditional assets. So it is not correlated to stocks, to bonds. However, I think it's actually released futures, margin trading, and Bitcoin became kind of a, speculative asset, let's say. In some way, it is normal to be correlated with the market, right? I mean, if I am an investor in Bitcoin, or simply I'm someone who has Bitcoin, and I see the stock market crashing, I might not want to sell Bitcoin because I think it's not a safe asset, but maybe I just want to sell Bitcoin to make some profit, right? So it really depends. But I would say right now it is definitely correlated with the stock market. I mean, if one falls, then I mean people are gonna go out of Bitcoin as well. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I always thought I've written an article, man, half a year ago, predicting like what should you do in a financial crisis. My thesis was that cryptocurrencies, at some point people will find more trust in them. But I guess this point will happen after a currency crisis, and still we don't know. We don't know which currency will collapse. I mean, look at the US, man. I don't know if the US can sustain this. They went the Feds went down to 0%. And I don't think they can keep going more. Quantum easing has started. They printed loads of money. But I don't know if the dollar will hold as a currency, or like the European currencies, man. I don't know, the pound. Other countries that are pegged to dollar, will the US allow it to?
We have no fucking idea, but because in 1 week, every fucking day, in 1 week from now, a lot of things will be changed, 1 week now, it's more things change than in a year or 2 years, So 1 day, 2 days, here Quebec City, Quebec, 2 days, 10 days ago, everybody was chilling, But now, boom. So in 1 week from now, man, so many things can happen, Like, what the fuck? Look at this, man. It's fucked up. Everybody's saying, yeah, you think too much about it. But I'm not afraid about the virus. It's just the consequence will be so huge. It's so unprecedented. Like we never see that. You never see that. Like it won't. The GDP won't go back. Won't go slow. Like I'm seeing like next quarter for US minus 15% on the GDP. But after the next day, after it can go
minus 30%, man.
Exactly. It's just everything. The economic activity is just decreasing, disappearing, and after you don't have company to. So it's just boom.
And also,
are people getting laid off, man, now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, also in Italy, actually, like those who close their activities, some of them can't really pay for their workers, so they actually not lay them off, but they kind of get a monthly allowance, but they can't really work at the moment.
Exactly. Italy, it's next level, man. Italy, if it's, I don't know, man, they didn't see it coming. We didn't, like, it was in China, for the West, China is really far, People were looking Chinese dying and were like, oh, okay, yeah, Chinese, fuck, like, but once it hit Italy, that's when the West wake up, So it happens to Italy. Now it's happening to Spain, man.
Well, I wouldn't say so, bro, unfortunately. I mean, like first thing first, everyone was like so into this, that this thing was from China, right? So everyone was like, fuck Chinese people. And they're like, they're the worst of the world. It's their fault. Once it actually arrived in Europe, it's our fault. It's Italians that actually spread it around, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And
man,
so the narrative changed, man. The narrative changed a lot, but there's so many interests behind, right? I mean, like it's like I think no one realized the scope of this threat, and still they don't. I mean, you read the news about like in France, people were dressed as Smurfs. They had a Smurf meetup. And like, the fuck, man, like they had a spring break in the US this week. So like, this is the beginning, man. Like I see here in Italy, we have like 50,000 cases and people are locked up. The US is like 30,000 and people are not locked up. So
Exactly. But in Italy, you have more case, you know? In Italy, you have more case because the mortality rate is like 1%. That's not 3%. It's just you need to test. So a lot of people now in Italy, they got it, but they have like mild symptom, you know? Or you don't, it's just this disease is just it goes to everybody, you know, everybody got it. It's influenza. It's like in the history of the world, you know, there was like 60% of the people who got it, and maybe 1% die, you know. That's normal. That's like it's just that's the planet, you know. It's just like the planet is just saying too many humans. We send a virus to regulate a bit. That's why viruses are there. That's why they are out there. It's fucked up to think about it, but it just is. It's fucked up. I see it. You know, it's just we need to find. I think we'll be able to find a cure, but vaccine takes too long. You know.
Yeah, man. At least 6 months, 9 months, something like this.
I don't know if you guys are scared of the virus itself or with the economical aftermath that will happen.
You can't really separate them, man.
I think you can. Like, eventually we'll find a cure for the virus. You know, it's not the first virus. I mean, it happened with the swine influenza. It happened with the Spanish flu. Sooner or later, we'll find a cure. You know, it will be managed. I mean, here's China managing it successfully.
It's cool,
I think we'll defeat the virus. Happen afterwards. What will happen afterwards? When you see, man, especially in countries that are so individualistic, if you have an apartment and rent it out, will you wait for your tenant to pay the rent or not? You know, how does it work? Will the government decide of the creditors or the debtors? I think we're on the verge of a major social collapse somehow.
Francesco,
how do you pay your rent? You still pay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wish I would be able to afford my rent. No, actually, I mean, rent is pretty high here in Milan. I wouldn't be able to afford if I wasn't working. I mean, likely I can smart work, but not everyone is in my situation. So that's the interesting thing, Basha. What happens if I don't pay my rent? Then my owner doesn't get money. And then if my owner doesn't get money, maybe he doesn't pay his mortgage. And then the bank is not able to do new mortgages. So it's a really huge domino risk here. Actually,
this is what I think, man. Like in 2008, the American decision was to bail out the banks, which is somehow, man, in a weird way, it's a strategic way to solve it. You deal with this smaller number of big entities, you give them the bailout, and then they solve the problem from top to bottom. But it's unfair. It's unfair, but it's an easier solution.
So, Basha, I think Hussan actually had a question. Can you talk about your opinion about the economical and social recovery after the crisis?
What?
Check the question on the right.
Check the question. So, Basha, what do you think about the economical and social recovery after this crisis?
Economical and social recovery. I don't know, man. Social and economical are linked together, and especially in Europe. Man. See, I would like to highlight, man, the difference between I would say Jordan or like China and the US. China and the US and Jordan will fall in the middle. You know, in the US, it's a country that really appreciate individual freedom. Like that's the core value of the US. You know. While and it is bottom up on the other, you know, like individuals do stuff that boost the economy, and people have this idea that we're free and we can do whatever. Unlike the Chinese, which is run like a family somehow, from the top to the bottom, you know. I see this look on your face, but
family, bro.
The majority of Chinese, man, Chinese, man, support the government. We only meet with the minority that leaves China, but when you look at China, man, it's working regardless of how fucked up the society is there, or like the social score stuff and everything. But
you're going off topic.
They proved the point when they recovered. They are recovering from Corona now. You know, it's easy to manage it. I'm really scared that in super individualistic societies such as the US and Northern Europe, it will be social collapse. You know, it will be people will look at man. You run out of toilet paper. Everybody ran out of toilet paper. We didn't run out of toilet paper in Jordan. I mean, I don't get lots of people are buying cartons to resell it. It's that profit motive, man, that's ruining the society. in Jordan, I feel, man, we're in between the Chinese logic and the American logics. And gladly, we're a monarchy and we don't have democracy. So it is more efficient to take decisions. If anything, man, so what's going on in Jordan now at the moment is the government decided to do a curfew, and if you leave the house, you'll be in prison. And so far, we got 500 people in prison and 100 people with who actually got the virus. But it's working, it's working. And when you look at the public opinion on social media, everybody is supporting the government. This way of doing stuff makes it easier to manage the country. Plus, to a certain extent, we still have our collectivist values with the tribal logic, with the strong family bonds, the neighbor bonds, so people help each other out. Like we will. I think, man, the aftermath in Jordan, we won't survive. We won't starve, but we will have our quality of life will be a bit lower. It's dangerous to imagine this in Europe, man, where people already get used to a high standards of living. Most of the jobs are like business consultants, IT stuff, marketing,
third sector,
sociology, not producing value. Like people have lots of jobs that doesn't produce value.
Yeah,
I don't know how will this happen.
No, I agree. For now, man, service industry is highly hit for sure. If you work in service industries, even manufacturing, still, you need to separate people. Just the social distancing, it's not really working like with our culture. Like even at the airport, they told me we're gonna quarantine you, but about the coffee, like the Starbucks girls, she was there, like it's just. Like the society is not made for this social distancing. It's just not working. It's just you try, you do your best, you stay away, but just man, you're not used to it. It's just that can't work.
This is why you go to prison for up to a year in Jordan if you leave the house.
Because in Jordan, people they can't do it. It's just they won't be able to stay away and stuff.
Maybe I can bring you like the example of Italy. It's because I feel like I'm living kind of in the future because I've been locked up in quarantine for a month now. 24 is my first month in quarantine, so I'll have like a party or something. Anyway, what happened here in chronological order was that at the beginning, everyone was like, fuck man, this corona, it's just an influence, fucking Chinese, and everyone was like this. And then the government was like, yo guys, maybe we should try to close everything, to actually solve this shit. And everyone was like, yeah, but the economy has to keep growing. We cannot stop production. And this was maybe the first mistake because this actually pushed the government to kind of adopt like a midway situation whereby you have, it's not a curfew, it's more like restrictions, but very moderate. And this didn't pay off clearly because at some point it was huge. And then they had to impose this quarantine. They closed shops, and right now, like the only thing open is like supermarket and stuff. Yet, people kept going out, man. Like first week, people were going to the park. They were going to aperitivos. They arrested so many people, man. And so that's the issue. That's why you need a curfew, man. That's why dictatorships are actually better because I can just say, yo guys, don't go out. Fucking go to prison.
Yeah, of course.
Here, as hard as it sounds, people don't really realize until it touches them. Like they keep going out. I mean, this is the issue, right? And as much as it seems like a small thing, actually being in quarantine is the only way you can solve the problem. So if you still have people going out, I'm pissed off because I already spent a month home and we're probably gonna spend more time home. So I mean, once like Hussam asked for the economical and social recovery after this crisis, I think crisis still has to come. I think we should first talk about economic and social problems we'll have, and then maybe like later on we can talk about like after, because I really think this shit will stay here and it will have a huge impact on our lives.
We don't know.
I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I really am.
Yeah, man.
I'm rereading the question again. Economical and social recovery after the crisis. Like it's very like let's talk about the recovery. Let's not talk about the crisis. I think people should be worried about talking about the crisis, man. How are you going to get your daily needs? How are you going to support yourself? Rent issues, man.
It's crazy. It's issue.
I feel it's time. It's time to be as sustainable as possible, man. It's time to go back to the roots.
That's actually a good point, and there were some interesting examples around. So basically, in Venice, we had fish coming back to the city. In Milan, we had freaking rabbits in parks. So I mean, this kind of shows us that humans, like coronavirus or not, we should just have 1 month where we stay home and actually allow our planet to be fucking free from us. I'll gladly spend the whole month of January home. I don't know about you guys. Dominic, you have quite a big footprint with your frequent travel.
Yeah, I agree, man. I put myself in quarantine, man. That was, I mean, I don't know, man, for this. I had like a big flu in February, but it was like just 4 days, 3-4 days. I was really sick. But you don't know, man. I had many flu in my life, So the grippe, back home. So it's like influenza. I got it. I live in a really cold area. Like even in Japan when I was there, it was cold. So you got the flu. Is this fucking virus or is it like the normal flu? We are not used to quarantine. In Japan when they are sick, everybody's quarantined. We don't quarantine. You work a bit. You find a way to bypass the virus. You don't say this is the problem, man. This is fucked up. Just what can we do? Even me, you are in Italy, Francesco. I'm still going out. I'm in quarantine. I'm just going out, just walk in the forest. I stay away from people. But it's hard to just stay inside, man. It's just.
Why did you eventually leave Japan to Canada?
I was forced to, man. I wanted to stay at the university. They say we want everybody come back. You need to come back. Whatever happened, we don't make single case. We just ask everybody to come. Stop to complain. We have bigger problem. Which was
Which country do you think is managing it better, Canada or Japan?
Japan, they don't test. So I think they don't test. So like if you are sick, they tell you isolate, stay at your place, but they don't test you. So statistics are not going high, But people are not that dying. Hospitals are not full. I don't know, man. I think Quebec now, they're managing really well, They kind of have lockdown. You can still move, but they close everything really early and they test a lot. You can test. You can be tested. The goal is to test. You need to know who's having it to tell him to isolate him, and you need to act quick. But after, man, it just act quick. That thing won't disappear, So and you still connect. You still need products from abroad, So just even if you control the situation inside, you will import some other case. So it's just you need some cure, man. You need to mitigate and just contain. And try to, I don't know, man, try to get the virus killed or I don't know, anything, a vaccine and shit. But even in 2 months, if the virus is still going on in Iran or all around the world, even if you control it, man, you don't protect. You don't protect. Even if you cross the border, nobody's protect, man. It's just at the same time, it's changed the globalization. It's changed like the global war because it will have a big consequence on border, man, on politics. And the people, they will talk about these events like, I don't know, like what will be the outcome. But sure, it's just... It's that explosion.
I think that's actually a good point. I mean, the fact that the threat is actually a global, and any response which is less global is ineffective. I mean, you can have single countries dealing with the issue, but like it's not about closing borders. Like this is clear. So yeah, I indeed agree, man. Like this is a very big issue that has to be dealt with international coordination, in my opinion. Like there should be. Like the OMS, the WHO, all of this is bullshit. Like there really should be an international organism which actually deals with this shit, like a task force or something. Just last point, Mahmoud actually wrote, I heard Minister of Health in Italy is overstating the number of deaths. Is that true? I wouldn't say so. I mean, I would like that to be true. But I don't see why they would do so. I mean, I think pretty much everyone is underestimating the number of deaths, kind of.
That's scary, man. Fucking, that kills a lot of people, man. It's not that like a single fucking flu. I think it's quite aggressive. If you have like chronic disease, but even that kills people without chronic disease.
I wanna go back to the point that you said we need international body solving this issue on an international scale. I don't think, man, like game theory logic, man. If we live in nation states, it's there isn't enough incentive for countries and major powers to coordinate because it's a great chance to acquire soft power in this crisis the same way that the Chinese are doing right now. What do you think, Dominique?
Answer back the question I was reading. Answer back. You say like, what is the best leadership to
No. I'm saying that Francesco said we need international efforts, and I think that major powers in the world won't cooperate to solve this issue because it's a great chance to acquire soft power in such a crisis. Well, I think the Chinese are already gaining soft power in this.
Yeah, of course, I agree with you. They move with the circumstance, they move with the events, To Chinese, they kind of got with. You know what I heard, man? Look, listen, I know a Chinese guy. He was abroad when the crisis started in China and stuff. He was stuck kind of in Sri Lanka, and after he tried to come back, he went to like some place in Southeast Asia, and he wanted to come back to China. And now China, okay, they ask all of the people, all Chinese who are outside of China and want to come back, they need to quarantine for 1 month, and you need to pay your quarantine $2,400. And from the hospital to the quarantine, you need to pay $300, and it's an ambulance. We're gonna pick you, man. So you arrive at the hospital, at the airport, they put you in a fucking ambulance, then they bring you 1 month in quarantine, man, and you have to pay for it if you want to go back to China, man. They answer really. You're right. They answer really quick. They know the disease a bit, and they don't want to get it again. So it has big consequence, Will they get soft power? I don't know, man, because you have at the same time people saying, yeah, it's coming from China, And after, yes, they're bringing masks to Italy and stuff. So we'll see. You have these two fights, So you have always some people more favorable to China. Some others are always like, okay, a bit more aggressive on freedom and shit. So I don't know I don't know the outcome. I don't know. Maybe it can help the soft power of China, but man.
So just to give this a bit more interactive, Conrad asks, do you perceive that the political leadership of your respective countries is being questioned, pressured, supported for the ending of the crisis? Which direction do you see confidence in the leadership develop? So maybe we can have like 1 minute each one and go through it. I can start with Italy maybe. I would say leadership will always be questioned, especially in such times. The Italian government has taken unprecedented action on this matter, so you always have someone going against it. I would say main two groups going against is one, political opposition. Opposition will always go against leadership. It doesn't matter how good they actually deal with the crisis. For instance, Salvini, famous Italian politician, on the first week of the crisis was just saying that all shops should be open because we shouldn't be scared of this. And after a week, he then realized how much bullshit that was. And now they actually say, oh, well, but the government has done this wrong and this wrong. Honestly, I'm pretty much satisfied with the handling of the crisis by the Italian government. This is the only way that this can be done again, and this has to be realized. So the other block is actually economic powers, right? Lobbies. They don't really want to stop the economy. So I would say they always have opposition when you take such stances.
Dominic.
Yeah, for Canada, we have like federal levels. So you have two answers. You have to answer from the province. Those provincial, they deal with healthcare. So like it's kind of them in front, But Canada, at the head of the federal government in Canada, it's liberal, So it's against their ideology to close border, to close like free transport of goods of people, So they took them a bit of time, before to act. Some province they act before they declare like the emergency of sanitary health, like or emergency of healthcare and stuff. So they can take a lot of measure, but it's the federal level. So you have still dichotomy between the reaction of the province and of the federal government, which is more open to trade, want to keep the country open, but the province they want to close it. We even talk about closing border between province. So the people on average, where I am in Quebec now, they favor more the provincial answer than the federal answer. It's about the ideology, Especially in the West, you have some real liberal politician. It goes against their ideological background to close the border, to restrain freedom and stuff, So you see it in Canada. But I don't know why we like people. They say, yeah, country with more contact with China, they get touched first. But in Canada, we have a lot of contact with China. So I don't know. It us a bit later than in other country, If you compare in Italy or in Europe, I don't know. But we had more time.
Meanwhile, man, in Jordan, The thing is, man, I've never thought that there is consensus in opinions in Jordan. Like people are always divided in their opinions, except in time of real challenges like this one. I haven't seen a single post, man, that criticizes the government. Everyone has been supportive. Yesterday at 8 p.m., everybody went out of their houses, like from the window, just to clap to the army. The army is in the street, and everyone is supporting it. If you ask the average Jordanian any day, what's your opinion on the government, they'll trash the government. But in times of a crisis like this one, man, everybody is appreciating the effort that the government is doing. And I think we're providing a model, man, for the world on how to deal with this crisis. I'm seeing this, like in their case, the government of Jordan are awesome for the 5-star hotels and other stuff they're doing. Man, quarantining in 5-star hotel in the Dead Sea. You came to Jordan, both of you. We never had money to go to a 5-star hotel in the Dead Sea.
You didn't invite us to the 5-star hotel, man.
Man,
such a cheap friend.
Anyhow.
I got a question.
Okay, man.
I mean, not really a question. I think it can be interesting to discuss from a health sector perspective. Because, for instance, in Italy, we have a public system, and I think everyone should be grateful for this, because people can just call an ambulance and get free treatment. What happens in places that have private health? So, for instance, you have Britain, who's renting beds. The NHS, National Health Service of Britain, is actually renting beds from private hospitals, and this costs them 2.5 million a day. So maybe you guys have any reflection on the importance of public health in such crisis? Because I think like pretty much everyone during austerity times, they cut education, health, and now we're kind of realizing that it's more important to buy hospital beds than warplanes.
Basha, go.
The starting, man, this question will get into a rabbit hole of how money works. And then when you realize that money is a social construct, you realize that too many things that we think of as real aren't really real, if this makes any sense. Talking about government spending and stuff depends on which country, depending on the actual resources. Where do you get them? I mean, at the end of the day, man, to produce value, it's labor that you need, it is the land. Like, those are the two main. This is why there's the whole war on resources.
Someone is going to talk about communism.
No, man, no.
I knew it would come.
I'm not getting into communism, but at least since we live in a capitalist society, I think we should understand how it works. It's a rabbit hole to understand how it works. We cannot get into this now. But my concern is like my chain of thought was leading to the fact that every major commodity in this world is being traded by the USD. The USD, man, is in a bubble. It's in a bubble, man. With quantum easing, with all the printing of money.
But this event could burst the bubble. That's for sure. The actual, if the American economy go really low, the USDT could stop to be the currency at the base of the financial system. But like, we don't know, man. We don't know.
Man,
we actually don't. 1 week from now,
man. If you look at the numbers, the graphs. Numbers, graphs, charts, the numbers we're seeing now, the stage we're at now at the long-term debt cycle, which lasts like 70, 100 years on average. We're right before the burst, man. Like, the figures show similar figures to that of the Great Depression of the 1929. When you look, I don't know, I did some research how life was there, and it's scary. And I don't think, man, this crisis will be another 2008. I think it will be another Great Depression. With the Great Depression, man, how it ended? It ended with World War II, then a transition of power from the UK and France to the US and Russia. And then we enter into the phase of two major powers, Soviet Union, the US. Past 30 years, it has only been the US. And now we're seeing China. But I think this is the point in time where I don't know if you know Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun, he's a
Of course.
he's an Arab sociologist, historian, and he had his theory of the rise and fall of empires. And I think we're witnessing the collapse of the American empire and the rise of the Chinese one. And when this happened, like people will realize that it's in our best interest, to deal with China than to deal with the US. Especially now when you look at Africa, 50% of infrastructure project, man, is being built by the Chinese. When there are American sanctions on countries now, it's not really effective because countries get what they want from China,
No, but like, look,
as it used to be.
we can guess what will be the outcome, man, because now China, the economy is going back, it's starting, but where's the demand, They don't have demand. Where are they going to ship the product, Where are they going to ship it, So still they want to start back the supply chain and shit. They want still to supply project, but they will have to cut workers too, man, because the demand, they sell most of the product in the US and Canada and Europe. They sell a bit in Africa, a bit South America, but the American market is the West, So the West always been feeding China with money because that was the cycle, So they're still selling product to us, but if there's no demand, in Netherlands, you saw this. I talked with Basha. The flower. This is the flower they recolt. They recolting all of the fucking flower they sell for Saint Valentin and all of the nice stuff. They're just throwing flour everywhere, man. Nobody's buying flour. They're just flour. In Britain, in France, they don't send the boat in water. They're fishing fish. Nobody want to buy fish. They don't go to restaurant. People buy the supply, the basic. But every fucking corner of the economy of the supply chain is just going to slowly. Just 1 week, man. They cut jobs in Quebec here. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 6 weeks, man. Where are you going? No economic activity, man. People are not eating at restaurant. They're just eating fucking. So some shop we have a big increase, but in the average, it's a big disruption of the entire economy. So man, it's gonna change everything. What will be China? I have no idea, man. Even if you can survive the virus, or you still can protect a bit your economy, you have to such a decrease in demand that it never happened. It's like a mix of Spanish flu and the Big Depression. So it's a mix of both. Spanish flu, there was a lot of people, but the world was not that connected. But when he went in India, it kills like Spanish flu kills like 6% of Indian population in 1918 and 1919. It was just so it kills a lot of people in poor country with poor healthcare, man. That's a problem.
That's one of the reasons, man, that somehow I was kind of content that the virus spread from China to the West and skipped Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. Imagine if it started in Bangladesh, man. How many people will die there.
It's coming.
Yeah, they actually started. Anyway, I don't really agree with you, Basha, on the fact that this actually gives power to Chinese. Because, as Dominic said, China is kind of the manufacturing plant of the world. And this has to be rethought clearly. So not everyone will go back and buy stuff from China. And also, it's kind of difficult to reestablish all the logistics after such disruption, man. No one's ordering from China anymore. Like this month, no one's getting supplies from China. And what happens if the economic supply chain breaks? This is not good for Chinese people, man, because generally China was already kind of saturated because, wages are going up. Production costs were already rising in China. So I would say this will maybe change the supply chain of the world, which will move maybe to Pakistan, Bangladesh, Africa, cheaper places closer to us. I don't really see this as good for the Chinese, bro. But let's reply to questions. Zaid says, do you guys have any thought about post-crisis? Will the manufacturer? Oh yeah, we actually were just discussing it. Or when Trump wins again, he will implement this.
Franche. But you can do this, and we show it on the stream.
Wow, that's so professional.
Yeah, so it's not this one. This one, guys, Corona, then a global financial crisis, or a financial crisis, then...
Maybe both.
Both. This one is both.
I think, man, everybody is so busy with Corona that nobody is thinking about financial crisis at the
Yeah,
moment.
man.
Yeah.
No one thinks about economic consequences.
Yeah, economic consequence would be, but like it's more like the question is which business will be able to survive. This is more this, you know. Think about some business. Some business will see, I don't know, like Zoom, you know, or like some teleworking business, or I don't know, like which business will enjoy, will have a good time in the crisis. You know, it's more the question, because it will be, I guess, 10% of the business will be able to survive and to make money and to have liquidity and to stay open. And just
So maybe interesting point of this could be smart working, because like in Italy before the crisis, we only had 2% people smart working, and now we have like 53% of the people smart working. So this will definitely raise issues of digitalization, innovation of workflows within companies, especially startups. I mean, so this will actually, for sure, you either adopt or die. So for sure, it pushes companies to adopt a more
innovation,
digitalized and innovative approach to work. That is for sure.
Interesting.
I think the situation would make a global powers coordinate more or less. I mean, let's take Jordan as an example. Jordan took strict measures, and hopefully within a month the country would be clean.
No, your friend, in 1 month the country will not be clean.
No, man.
Stay 1 month. That's an illusion, totally.
Jordan. I've been here for a month.
Yeah, no, it's only for a month, man.
I can bet €100, man, that will be clean in a month.
What do you mean clean?
we won't have a corona case in Jordan in a month.
0 cases.
Yeah, I bet €100.
I could bet €100. That's a very easy 100.
I'll bet 0.1 Bitcoin.
That's a lot of money.
I'm down for
Bitcoin.
And I have your Bitcoin, so I wouldn't really bet you actually hold.
You should keep them.
We go down.
Not your keys, not your money. So does everyone want to talk about Bitcoin?
Countries and companies should have their own contingency plans for such a crisis, but seems no one of them planned it.
Yeah, some, I guess, some planned it, like Taiwan or Singapore, or like South Korea were ready a bit. Like it just, but even South Korea, man, they did it really well. Everybody's like, yeah, praising South Korea. It's not done, man. You still can. You just one dude who don't give a shit, you know. This is one dude in Japan. There was this guy got corona, and he said, "I want to spread it out. Fuck you guys." He went to the cafe, and after he went to the karaoke, and after he said the cafe and karaoke, guys, I have corona. After the meeting and stuff, he said, "I want to spread it." You know, people are fucking free. You just need one fucked up guy, and he can screw everything. You know, all of the contagion, all of the plan made. This is so hard, man. This containment, this quarantine, that's short term, you know. You need first short term, reduce the curve. After, you need a cure, man. If you don't have a cure, we'll be fucked. We need a cure. Take this pill, no symptom anymore. But
I mean, we will find a cure, man. I really have faith in humanity.
Yeah,
so maybe I think an interesting point is because basically I read that basically everything is calculated based on R. R is the factor of contagion of the virus. And the whole idea of quarantine is to actually, as Dominic says, is a short-term measure to reduce R. So let's say the whole idea is would it be below 1? Because what R means is that, let's say R is 1.1. Each person actually contagious 1.1 persons, okay? So if you have 10 persons, then they're going to infect 11, and so on and so on. So this will grow. So the whole idea of quarantine is actually to reduce R and bring it below 1. So if you have 10 people, then they will infect 9, and then 9 will infect 8 people, and so on and so on. This is until like people actually find the cure. Bella Leo, bella per te. Aspetta, bro.
Yeah, of course. This is the idea, but it's just, I don't know, man. We'll see, man. We'll see.
Next question. I know the answer to this one.
Yeah, man. You get this one.
Salam alaikum.
عليكم السلام. بلا بطايا ما هو بعد ما تخلص القصة. The government will big money from the people as it always did after the crisis.
I don't know, man. I mean, that maybe that will be like the country with the riches, you know, that's be the winner, you know. They will need big investment money and like invest this in good way, you know, not like in good spot. Maybe you can find some business will be really good after. I don't know, man. So it's like we don't know, man.
Thing is, man, this is a great chance for people who already hits the government to do action all over the world. Like I'm thinking of the yellow vest protest in France. If the government took the side of the creditors, not the debtors, who they let the working class suffer, I think you will see rise in protest within the same country. And I think the threat in changing the current social political order comes from within the same country. And this is why I feel we're in a good position in this regard in Jordan, unlike, again, I always say it, man, individualistic Western countries.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think it has to do with the size of the place as well, right? I mean, you have 10 million people in Jordan. That's much easier to coordinate than a billion, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like if Rome was a country, it would be awesome.
I don't know, man. Just I have no fucking idea. It's interesting, you know. Everything. It's interesting. It's an interesting moment. I was never, you know, never could imagine that I would live in this time, you know, or like I go out and it's like, what the fuck? Why like that?
That's the thing. I think like a huge issue is that we always deal with like wars or bad stuff,
Yes.
but like we just watch it on TV, right?
Yeah.
And it always seems so far away.
Yeah.
And like this time it is so close, but yet we don't realize because it's never close until it touches you, because we kind of became alienated with seeing all of this destruction. It's like, oh well, another war. Oh well, today 5,000 people died. It's like, wow, normal news, you know. And I think it's kind of the same with this virus. You know, there's a huge virus. So whatever, you know, it's like gonna go out, maybe party a bit. Be careful, you know. It's like, but yeah, of course, right? But I don't know.
When I took the flight from Tokyo to Vancouver, there were these people went with N95, so the big massive doctor, and ski Google, you know. But they taking them live, but they have this fucking thing. It's like ski Google. Are you going to Westlaw or what? Like, flight. I'm not letting it. It's like, and some people with glove, you know when you wash dish, you know, fucking dishwashing glove, you know, and they take it, they eating McDonald's, and after they putting back the glove, you know, it's like, what this fuck, man? I was chill, man. Going back to this crazy.
It's entertaining, man. I'm really hungry. I looked myself in my cafe. I got some food.
Do you think some people could come and screw your cafe, or were you afraid about this? Or?
What?
Were you afraid about people coming in the cafe and stealing shit? Or?
No, man. It's not the US.
They don't know, man. In France, they had to put people in the street because we have people breaking in shop and taking stuff. You know, some people don't give
Already started, man. Already started. Too soon.
I might go shopping.
Yeah.
Shopping. No, I think it's just more fun here. You know, I have my own space. I can do stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, like this talk that we had. You know, if I was at home, I don't think we'll be having it. It's just so much free time will spark creativity, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Can you order food?
No, but I have enough stash, man, for a week. It's like camping. I'm going camping to my cafe.
Fun fact, we can order food, actually.
Yeah?
Yep. I mean,
man, this is why I think we will solve it in a month. You know, we already have like 99 cases, and we're taking more strict measures than Italy. Oh, people are complying.
Yeah, in Italy, it's.
I don't know, man.
And like Italy is the example. Like all the posts that you see in Jordan, do you want to be like China or like Italy? And everybody's like China. You know, okay, let's do quarantine at home, curfew, leave the house. You know?
Yeah, 6 coupons. In China, they give you coupon, like piece of paper, and you have like you can leave 6 times with this piece of paper. You give it 1 time. It's like
we also have that.
You
kind
have
of a self-certification that you're actually going out for work or something useful.
it's okay, man. People like you listen, so maybe 95% of the people listen, and you have still a 5% who don't care. They got the virus, maybe they die and after disappear, but just this is hard to implement, you know. Here you still have constitution, you cannot putting the army on the street, blocking people from living their place. People will complain a lot, you know. But it's just in Italy, it's a lot, man. It's fucking I don't know why that.
Wait for the US, guys. Wait for the US.
I really hope this actually helps Sanders.
It should, man. I don't know, man. Americans are weird, you know. Like someone comes and tells them, "We want to give you free healthcare," and like 65% of the population will be like, "Nah, we don't want this shit, man. Fuck you."
I think it's even worse, man. It's like everybody's like, "Yeah, free education, we want it," and then Sanders goes there and it's like, "Yo, guys, I'm giving you free education," and then voting day, no one's voting for him, and I'm like, "What the hell, guys?" Like.
Americans are not
the media, man. Ever watch CNN or Fox News?
Thank God, no.
Try it, man. It will make you stupid.
Did you?
I don't know, man. I'm serious. It's the media, man. The media control us, you know. I mean,
I agree with this.
We should feel sorry for the Americans, you know. Like, man, look at the average American. They don't know anything going on in the world, you know. Their life revolves around: are you Democrat or a Republican, Trump supporter? You know, I don't know, man. It's a very weird, simple perspective to life, you know.
I mean, it's. I think we can like for me for now. I can take some. We have it opens opportunities, you know. So the streets are empty, the price of Airbnb are going low, so the city is fucked up. They're gonna lock. That's why I think you need to stay out of the cities in this time. You know, everybody with the possibility to live. You know, go in the countryside. I mean, maybe it's a time to enjoy something different. I mean, I don't know. So I see it. You know, going out and just relaxing, reading shit. But some people like us, we still have a bit of money. The problem is people without having like fixed paying, you know, like you have a big car, like a big house, or like the countryside house. Even people with money, if they don't have the job, if you don't have income, they take the holidays. But after 1 month, 6 weeks, you don't have any holidays. And after, what do? You still have like some big fixed payments. So it just that may be really difficult for the middle class or upper middle class. You know, maybe the first one to be laid off is like the bottom of the economic dispersion, like that. But after, like people like us, we can get around, you know. Just we don't have so much payment, it's a bit cash in the, you know, you can sell some Bitcoin or stuff like that. But that may attack a lot the middle class or like the upper middle class. So that's, I don't know, like my parents are retired, but if you have like just a job, my brother, if he loses his job, he's gonna fuck, you know. You have like a big apartment, you have a cell phone. I don't know, man. That could change the dispersion, the dynamic inside of the society. I mean, on the long term, that could really change the dynamic.
I think what will happen is reverse urban immigration. People going back to the village. People growing their own stuff. Cities shrinking. Well, local economy growing. This is what I think, man. This is the only way to go. Like, regardless of which economical system you'll be in, but the way to go is to support local activities. I mean,
of course.
You know,
of course. I work at the renting board game. People were coming to a renting board game.
At first, lots of people wanted to come, but now it's a curfew, so we stopped renting games. We didn't take the games from people who rented us.
Oh yeah, they keep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're trying to enjoy life, you know. I don't know, man. Everybody's worried. Whenever you open the social media, people are paranoid. This is why I looked at myself. Here, man. It's time, I don't know, to think, write, do the stuff that we've always wanted to do. No.
Of course.
Asha, how are you as a small business owner dealing with this?
Yeah, of course. Good question.
I don't know yet. See, like, here's the thing, man. When the question came up, do you think Corona or financial crisis, or financial Corona or crisis then Corona?
I think financial Corona, financial crisis.
And I think, man, we're just waiting. We're just waiting for the government to announce on Tuesday what will happen. We still don't know the severity of the problem. We don't know how the economy will react afterwards. Yo, see this disrespectful Canadian man. See,
I'm
live.
reading stuff about.
He's
This is a guy writing to me. China is the biggest problem. I don't know a guy writing to me like that. China is the problem. You know, we need to
China
sort.
is
Like,
the problem.
I'm just laughing.
Yeah, man. I think we'll have to wait to see the severity of the problem. I mean, see. The thing is, I've already. You said you never thought that you'd be living in such a scenario, and I think, like, I never imagined I'll be living under a pandemic, but I imagined living under a financial crisis. Like this shit was it was predicted in 2020, and I already have some ideas and thoughts and plans, but I'm still waiting to see the severity of the problem.
But you're not stressed because you are different. You know, you enjoy it a bit. You know, you're kind of happy of all of this. Everything is a bit fuck off. I'm
I
sure
think
that you like
Basha's a bit like
It's
me.
a nice
Like we always lived in quarantine.
it. Anyway.
I mean, remember when I quarantined with you, man? We were in Kuala Lumpur, how productive we were. It's the energy, man. You know, you'll be with someone who's productive and want to do stuff and creative, and boom, 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 you do stuff. When I was at home, man, all you do is Facebook, Instagram, then Facebook, then reading the local news. Just boring, man. We'll just consume noise. I would say we don't consume information. We consume noise, man. I think quarantine is a good time to reflect, you know, do the stuff you've always wanted to do. It's a nice break. I think all of us will be thinking differently after we get back to normal life. We won't take things for granted. I think this is a good for the, I don't know, man, the spiritual development of us.
I have no idea, man.
I think it's interesting from a human perspective. I mean, how the reaction will be, because you're seeing like people are really kind to each other, but also people are really mean to each other. So these kind of situations actually bring out both the best and the worst out of people. Oh, that's a very nice long comment.
I like this one, man. The better of the entertainment sector will always do great in depression.
Yeah, man. I think Mr. Netflix is actually enjoying himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. They have to. Some business models are working, you know, for quarantine. So some business model are profiting of this containment policy, of course. Some.
As you said, the time is
You guys are coming back and I go to bed.
How we should act in this situation, do a bit of brainstorming. What do you think? We start the session and distancing, everybody's talking. What an interesting times are, somehow feels like we are. The waiting position with life goes on, and we have right now. I think, man, it's time to re-question capitalism. I think this is the time. This is the time not to take it as the end of history.
How shall we act in this situation? I think it's more of a individual thing rather than rethinking capitalism or anything else. I mean, I do completely agree on reforming capitalism, but I think more of I mean, everyone should kind of respond individually, trying to realize what really matters. Maybe rethink the way you've been living your life, settle your priorities straight, and I mean, it kind of shows that in the end, if you're black or poor or white, poor, rich, gay, whatever, you still die if you get coronavirus. So in the end, we're all humans, and I mean, we should kind of reflect on this basic layer of commonality between us, and just try to be nice and kind, respect other people, and I think it kind of like, especially in different times, we should try to be kind. Yeah.
I think, man. Asha, after the quarantine, I have some mental issues. I think I already have mental issues.
Been a long time since.
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
The thing is, man, let's talk investment. Where should the flow of capital go to? Any thoughts? Man, I really think, personally speaking, this will be a major collapse. So, short major stock indices. I mean, this is what you should do at the time being. Like before the crisis, VIX was a good investment to long, but now I would short, man, SP 500 DAX. I'll look into
Mela White. So
probably Germany, man, probably the DAX. I don't know. Like we should short. I don't know if there is a way to purchase yuan. If there is a way to purchase yuan, like to get it, I'm getting Chinese currency. The advantage of the Chinese currency is controlled by the government. Yeah. It's not a free market, and I do trust the Chinese government that their currency will
hold. Honestly, I've had this question from a few people these days. Can you actually advise me where to invest? I would never invest right now because this is clearly at the bottom of the market. I mean, if we see progress of coronavirus, I really expect the US market to crash tomorrow. So I would keep my money ready, but I would never invest right now. Probably wait for the bottom of the market. I would probably short. I mean, I've been shorting airplane companies for the last 2 weeks, and that was really profitable. I've been shorting Bitcoin. Yeah, but that was easy. Right now, it's kind of more uncertain what's gonna happen. So I think the market will go through like a relative period of lateralization. But the trend is definitely bearish in my opinion. So
I think it will break the support level now that the virus has hit the US.
Tomorrow will be a very bad day for the market. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Affected more, so it will go down. Till when do you think travel restrictions between countries will last? Nobody knows.
6, 7, 8, 1 year, or like some life consequence. Maybe this possibility to move everywhere like you want. Maybe you won't see it in a couple of years. I think that will be a historic moment, and that will change globalization as we know. That is for sure, man.
I think
change globalization.
This is, I don't know. Like in Nepal, most of like they allow visa on arrival for most countries. Now they stop visa on arrival, and to enter the country, they still allow you to enter the country if you have a health certificate from your country that you're corona.
You don't have corona.
Yeah, but it's very hard to get this certificate these days due to the amount of people and the carriers that you're in. But probably in 2 weeks, I don't know, a month, this will start. I think so.
I'm gonna light the joint. Come back.
I think it's gonna be Africa's time to rise. I think too as well, man. I think too as well. It's just how capital flows to countries with cheap labor hours. This is the way capital flew from the West to China, and then from China to other Asian countries. So now it's getting into Africa. This is what I think.
I don't really see anyone rising in the short term, man.
Short term, I agree, man. Sure. But the thing is, man, I do believe the world as we know it will change.
100%. That's why we can't really base our future on the past. I mean, the question, till when do you think travel restriction between countries will last? We do not know if, as Dominic said, whether they will just stay in place. Who knows? Maybe we go back to a world where countries are more wary of who goes in and back, or maybe we just abolish all borders.
I think, man, it's time, not now, but like probably in a month or two, for us people to know which path we're getting to. Like we should organize ourselves. We should have a vote in this. We should collaborate from people from international countries. I don't know. We should find a way to do this instead of government of different countries.
How?
I don't know, man. I'm just thinking.
I'm going to the toilet.
Go to the toilet, man. I think we've talked for an hour. خلاص بكفي. Do you recommend buying bitcoins after having having in May. That's for Francesco. Francesco, when you get back, you'll get to the Bitcoin question.
Restriction, man, that's be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Major support, man. Ahmed Sharif, he's into investment, man, and stuff. He's a consultant. Major support lines broken already. Weekly and monthly charts on all major asset classes. On the other side, the dollar is still strong. Stagnation at its best. Gold. Gold, if the pattern, man, sustained as the same as 2008, we'll see a minor drop in assets at first, where people will be selling their gold to get cash to do other investments. Then the market will crash more, and I think at that time people will start piling up their investment. So I think the pattern of 2008 to 2009 will repeat. Go down a bit, then go up again. But myself, I'm holding gold, man. I have gold. I have gold, like real gold, not futures of gold.
Where is it?
So
investment.
I saw a Bitcoin question. Did you reply?
Yeah, man. Here you go. No. You're the blockchain consultant.
So, hello, Ammar. Do you recommend buying Bitcoin after halving in May? Buy the rumors, sell the news. I don't know. I think the halving would for sure have an impact on the market. Usually, you buy before. So I would say if Bitcoin keeps going lower, it's a good buy. I would always buy Bitcoin any day of my life. So I always recommend buying Bitcoin. But yeah, I do think the halving will have an important impact. But I think point on this. Maybe next meeting can be about Bitcoin if people are interested. So maybe we can have a second podcast where we actually dedicate to, I don't know, business, economics, investment, Bitcoin.
Right, you should.
The topics are indefinite. Yeah. What do you think about other cryptocurrencies, though?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, they generally follow Bitcoin in these cases. If Bitcoin goes down, they all go down. So if you're trading crypto, you have to pinpoint to Bitcoin. And I mean, right now it doesn't make sense to trade crypto for Bitcoin. I would only trade either crypto for cash, maybe.
So I didn't. Mining is still good.
I really enjoyed the talk.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was fun.
We should, it's mostly on your side, the people, but I could try to bring people on my side. I mean,
I think I don't know, man. I think we should do another experiment on a actual podcast tool, not Facebook Live.
Yeah, we could.
Agree.
Next subject.
Yeah, but we should have a structure for what are we going to talk about, who will talk. I don't know if 3 people in a call is ideal or it should be 2 each time.
No,
maybe bring.
I think 3 is perfect. I mean, we have 14 people online. So, guys, what do you think about this? Maybe if we get some feedback. Don't be shy.
I got a date after the quarantine, man.
Lucky you. Getting some real gold.
Quarantine shot. How long it lasts? You think it would last 1 month?
I don't know, man. I'm really enjoying the moment. I enjoyed this talk. I don't know. Probably I wanna write the article I told you about Francesco now. Maybe we can talk tomorrow. What ideas do we have to improve this? To have a structure for it.
We have nothing. I have nothing to do. Yeah. It's good for me, man. Seriously, tomorrow I need to do email. That's it.
I think this was actually much better than expected, considering that.
I think I like it.
It was unplanned, so I think we can definitely redo this, even relatively soon.
Yeah. Question from the people help. It can be dynamic. People they ask, I think, and you develop some new vision. It's nice. I like it.
I mean, I know how to. I don't know. Like we can find channels to promote this if we want to do it for real, you know. But I really enjoy the fact that we're talking as if nobody's watching, which makes it real, you know.
It also goes like, I mean, I only have this view, this page with you and Dominic, so we're not really like talking to other people. So it kind of gets the familiar vibe.
Yeah, I get you. So let's call it a day. It was nice. Thanks. That's a nice comment, man, to end the podcast with.
Okay.
Cheers, guys. Thank you, everyone who
Ciao,
watched
guys.
it. If you, I don't...
Be safe.
Ciao, ciao, bellos.
Ciao,
Drink that
bro.
water.
3, 2, 1. We're out.